It is Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. Look at you wearing your forgotten, rotten floorball jersey. Man,
Sometimes
did you get that thing signed by Nikki Cass?
Hell no. No, Chris, this thing is ready to go for another game. I'm not like trying to like put this in like on the wall or something. I'm ready to play in this bad boy. Makes me feel like when I put this thing on, and I think they call this what, a sweater?
Sweater.
When I put this hockey sweater on, I feel like a man. I like that. I know I look good too.
You know what? You're a good enough athlete where you could have played a little hockey.
Probably. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, you do everything well. Kind of pisses me off. You know who else does everything great? Mike Trout.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Last night, homered in his 7th straight game. That is one shy of the major league record, which he will go after tonight against the Cleveland Guardians and the youngster Cody Morris, who is making his 3rd major league start. Now, Mike Trout says, you know what? I'm not worried that Cleveland, even though they're in a pennant chase, is going to pitch around me. Are you worried?
I mean, not really, because as good as Mike Trout is right now, he's like always this good, Chris. Like, there's never really a good time to like go after Trout. I mean, I know he'll get in some ruts just like every other hitter, but like even in those times, like this is the most dangerous hitter on the planet. I mean, him and Aaron Judge right now are the guys. So he's only been walked intentionally 6 times this year, and 4 of them came in one series against Seattle. So like, you know, maybe they take that approach, but it just hasn't happened. And like I said, like this guy's kind of like always hot. I understand the 7 games in a row. Last night, I mean, dude, what do you think's going to happen to a 94-mile-an-hour fastball down the middle to Mike Trout? Like he's going to hit a homer on that thing. Yeah. So like, you know, they're going to be smart with him. If there is an open base, they'll pitch around him. But that happens all the time because he's Mike Trout. He's got a 1-daughter for his career. And I know he's slugging a 1-daughter in the month of September. He's got a 1.4 right now, but this is who he is. If you honestly, in my opinion, more teams should just walk this dude, but hasn't been going on this year.
During this 7-game homer streak, how many times do you think he's been walked? And I'm not saying intentionally. I'm saying how many walks do you think he has?
None. I don't think he has 2. Okay.
He has 2 walks, which is not a lot. You know, I mean, not for a guy who's gotten that sizzling hot. Here's the thing. Last night, Cleveland was up by a run in the 8th inning, and Trevor Steppen, who's been a pretty good reliever for Cleveland, came in. Nobody on. Trout let off the inning, and he struck him out. I mean, he threw him competitive pitches, in part because I don't think they wanted to put the leadoff runner on and have Shohei up next. Yeah. So obviously the situation dictates it. Cleveland and Terry Francona, their job is to win the game. It's not to appease Mike Trout or appease us. But the more I think about it, and there's 3 guys that have homered in 8 straight games. Happened with Dale Long. It happened with Don Mattingly, and it most recently happened with Ken Griffey Jr., but that was almost 30 years ago, so you don't remember it, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I don't think that we give this particular milestone enough love. Everybody's like, oh, it's just Mike Trout being Mike. You know how hard it is? Well, you know how hard it is to hit homers in consecutive games, let alone 7 of them.
Yeah, I mean, he's just absolutely locked in. He's in one of those zones where if he gets a pitch in the heart of the plate, I mean, he's hitting it hard. He puts air under it. It's gone. I think you're right, Chris. I mean, it's just like a weird, you know, record. That's why it's not getting as much love. But to hit, like you said, homers on back-to-back nights, great. 3 nights in a row is really hard to do. And then you just keep going and going and going. I don't even know. I think maybe I had 4 in a row, maybe 5 in a row. And that was when I was absolutely locked in. I felt like Superman. And that's what Mike Trout feels like every time he goes up to the plate. I used to ask people, like good hitters, I would go ask them. I'd be like, how fun is baseball for you? You just know you're going to be good. Like I know those times when I was a good hitter, you go through streaks and you just felt like so confident and so happy with yourself. And dudes like Mike Trout just get to feel like that every single day. It's not fair, Chris. It really isn't, man. It's
I know.
messed up.
It's just kind of like you and the rest of life. You just walk around and everything's great for you, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Must be good. Here's what I'm rooting for tonight. And I felt the same way when I went to a Cleveland St. Louis game in 1998 when Mark McGwire was having that ridiculous season. I was rooting for Cleveland to be up big and for Mark McGwire to hit a home run, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to root for the same thing tonight.
Okay,
there you go. Speaking of game one of that series, it was very odd, something I had never seen before. Andres Jimenez may have gotten hit by a Ryan Tepera pitch. So Terry Francona wanted to challenge it, and Ron Culpo, the umpire, said, no, you didn't challenge it soon enough. Well, Tito comes out, really gets in Culpo's face, gets tossed. This is as fiery as you will see Tito, who doesn't argue much these days. He got tossed. Well, in the meantime, Tepera wanted to throw some warm-up pitches during the delay, and the umpires were like, no, you can't do that. So Phil Nevin, the Angels manager, comes out and is like, wait a second. What do you mean my guy can't warm up? And Culpo's like, you get out of here too. So without a pitch being thrown, both managers got ejected. As for Tito, here's what he had to say about what exactly transpired after the game.
You want the truth be told, I don't know what was going through my mind. Sometimes, and I don't like that, get to a point where, you know, my intercostal was like spasming, and my DeMarlo was yelling something about stepping on my toe, and I'm like, get away from me. You know, I don't know.
Okay. Before we talk about what happened on the field, can we start with his soundbite? He's like, I felt something in my intercostal. The intercostal harbor that's an area in Cleveland. Your intercostal.
Tito. Yeah, I mean, the way he was feeling there where he didn't have any control, that's what I feel like on liquor. That's why I don't drink liquor anymore. This is the type of thing that happens. I start yelling at people, they throw me out of places. So I get the feeling, but I don't know, man. The whole situation was strange to me, and like I didn't understand it. And then I was like, oh, Ron Culpa's the home plate umpire. Now I get it, because I don't know him personally. I mean, I played quite some time with him as an umpire, so I got to know him a little bit, but in my experiences with Ron, he's always right. He ain't ever admitting that he's wrong, and that is the bottom line. It looks like that's what happened here. I mean, look, I don't think that ball hit Jimenez. I think he felt the ball come back off the glove onto his foot, but umpire's there to get the calls right. So like, why not just like let the dude challenge it? Okay. Like in my mind, that makes sense. Okay. I know there's some rules in place, but like, let's get the call right. Okay. And then let the dude throw some warm-up pitches. It was a long time between pitches. Like, how does that bother them whatsoever to just let the dude throw some warm-up pitches? And like, again, Culpa just has to, have his way. Boom. 2 managers gone. 2 completely separate instances within 5 minutes of each other. That's crazy to me. But it makes sense because Ron Culpa.
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing on baseball's front. And yes, it was one of the umpires who had to deal with the pool reporter afterward, because Culpa in the 9th inning actually took a foul ball off the mask and had to leave. So he couldn't even face the heat afterward. And I hope he's okay, but he butchered this thing. If you start with just the Cleveland aspect of it, we know that there's a time limit in which you can challenge. And Tito had his hand up, and you could actually see in the video, he's saying, he's like using the earmuff signal, like, hey, we want you guys to look at it. The umpiring crew did not know that. Jimenez stepped back in the box. Tepera stepped on the rubber, and so the umpires thought that meant we are back in play. And so they weren't allowing him. So they kind of screwed that part up. As bad as that is, I can live with it. We've seen that happen. I cannot live with what they did to Ryan Tepera. That's a shame. I don't know if it's a true safety issue. Would 1 or 2 warm-up pitches have made a difference? But if the guy, I don't care. But if the guy felt like it could have helped him get ready and get loose so that he could continue to pitch in the at-bat, that's all I care about. Seriously? 100%. Like, we're going to sit here and bitch about 25 extra seconds because the guy wants to throw 2 or 3 warm-up pitches? Let's just, when you say it out loud, if it sounds stupid, it is stupid.
I don't know, man. For some reason, those umpires are always going like this. Like, let's go. They want to get these games in. And so do we. So do the players. So do the fans. They don't want to sit around for 4 hours with dead time. But safety comes first, man. And like that's so easy. It's so easy, dude. And he ended up throwing pitches anyway. I think he just like went off to the side and threw a couple balls or something. Dude.
Well, you know why? Here's what I think happened. I think that Nevin got thrown out intentionally so that he could then pull Coppola over to the side and say, fuck it, go warm up. That's what I think happened.
Good for Nevin. And good for Tito.
Exactly. Good job.
Both teams are fired up.
That was a weird thing. But, man, when you saw Tito, like, you knew that he was losing it. Like, he had a little crazy eye working and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you get little veins in the neck from Tito right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, today's edition of Baseball Today is presented to you by True Classic. I am wearing my True Classic today, and it is the absolute best fitting T-shirt that a man can buy. On top of that, I don't know if a lot of you guys are like me. I am very particular about the type of material I put on my body. I get very itchy, and when I get itchy, I get hot. And that even happens with T-shirts. So I like the kind that are super soft. That is awesome. On top of it, they come in a great array of colors. I've got a bunch of them. I'm wearing the black. I've got the navy. I've got a green. I've got a gray. So I have expanded my wardrobe this summer thanks to the best fitting T-shirt out there. I want you to go to trueclassic.com. You're going to get 25% off with the code word today. Now, the key thing is I like to find T-shirts that fit great. Not all of us can be like the male model, my cohort and my good friend Trevor Plouffe, where anything looks good on that dude. You could throw a shit T-shirt on him and he would still look great. For me and for most of the men out there, we have interesting looking torsos. So find a T-shirt like True Classic that fits to a T. That is the way you want it. You don't want it baggy. You don't want it too tight. You want to wear it just right. And look how nice this looks. Like, it makes it look like I got some muscles here. Good definition. It hides the intercostal part of my body, according to Terry Francona. So it just feels good. Once again, it is trueclassic.com. Code word today. You're going to get 25% off. And if you have a purchase over $100, they'll throw in free shipping as well.
I think it's more like the Mississippi than an intercoastal, isn't it? Hey, for real though, that T or those T's, I got like noodle arms right now, Chris. I told you I haven't been going to the gym, haven't been working. I got no motivation right now. I got to find it, but I put them on and it still looks like I got biceps. So it's like a magic trick, bro.
It is. So that's the key. Feels good. Yeah. And it's super soft.
Yeah.
I love the way.
I like that you need to know what you put on your body. I like that about you. Got to be soft, got to be stretchy. You're like the Dow Jones, bro. We know that.
Enough. Let's get back to the games. Interesting series between the Rays and the Jays. Bo Bichette hit a go-ahead homer. This came just a couple of innings after he got dusted up and in and was not happy. Slammed down the bat after Javi Guerra nailed him with a pitch. Next inning, Francisco Mejia had to wear one. The Blue Jays, quote unquote, I'm throwing up the air quotes, did it right. They played 2 today. The interesting thing was the coaching staffs were yelling at each other after this. Both managers, both pitching coaches looking, pointing, a lot of FUs, all that sort of stuff. Do you think we're going to see anything today?
Dude, them shouting back and forth like that makes me think we are. Dude, when the managers get pissed off like that, that's when shit happens, dude. Like, yeah. They're the ones calling the shots to have guys throw at each other. So, like, I hope not. It's so stupid. I don't like throwing at people for no reason, especially if it's the manager's core. Like, why don't you guys go throw at each other? Why don't you go in the cage and throw balls at each other? Okay, because no one cares if you're hurt. But, like, if Bo Bichette tomorrow or Vladdy today gets nailed and breaks a wrist, how are you going to feel about it, man? So, you know how I feel about that. But to answer your question, yeah, I think it will carry over into today's game because that is, you saw how fired up they were. And Cash, he gets the red ass every once in a while, and Schneider sure looked like he had it. Like, I don't know if they forget about stuff like that. They're channeling their old like ball player selves right there, yelling at each other when they need to be more like they need to relax a little bit, in my opinion.
I would say this: if I were Kevin Cash, I would have called Schneider. And I would have called him afterward and said, hey, listen, whatever happened today, happened today. We're going to be playing a lot. They still have 9 more games, I think, against each other.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say they both punched their ticket to the playoffs because they haven't. I mean, something could happen. Baltimore could go on a crazy run. Something could happen weird over the last 3 weeks. But these teams are both gearing up for October. God forbid something happens. One gets away, and all of a sudden Vladdy or Wander or somebody important in these lineups is wearing one and done for the year. Like, that would be the worst thing. The worst thing. So, hey, I'll take care of my guys. You take care of your guys. Let's have good baseball today. Bucket, like, if things get a little hot and competitive, we get it. But let's call truce right now. Like, that's what I would have done. Would that ever happen?
I don't know. Maybe. I think it happens like without talking to each other. You sleep on it and you're like, okay. And then you understand what we're talking about. You don't want to get your guys hurt, and like very rarely, Chris, does it happen where like the players take it upon themselves to rectify a situation. Most of the time it is
never.
It is straight up managers and pitching coaches telling these guys what to do. Like that maybe back in the day that used to happen, because we know how the mentality was, but now it doesn't happen that way. So we just saw Le'Veon Bell knock out Adrian Peterson. Cash for Schneider. I think Schneider's a heavy favorite in that one. No offense to Cash. What do you think? Those two guys.
Well, the way I saw Schneider going at it, I was like, whoa, hey now. But
I gotta get
you know what you don't realize? Kyle Snyder is like 6'8".
I know.
He's a giant.
People forget I used to play Major League Baseball, so Schneider was in the Rays organization when I was there.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
No, he's big. He's big. He's lanky. He's got the reach. But I'm talking manager versus manager. I'd favor it in Schneider's favor.
Who wins if we have a Royal Rumble for the managers? Who's left standing?
Dang, I gotta
because he's so fit. He can't be because he's.
I don't think so. Gabe would be like meditating on the side, like trying to calm everybody down. I'm trying to think. I got to go through the managers now. Let me think about that.
Matheny's still a beast.
Yeah.
Like huge hands. I think he didn't even need a catcher's mitt to catch back in the day. I mean, there's a bunch of them you can knock out because of their ages. I mean, Tito's not even making it into the ring.
Phil Nevin's kind of scary.
Oh, yeah, Nevin's a good one.
Yeah. Rob Thompson ain't it. Don Mattingly ain't it.
No.
Snitker ain't it.
Buck's not
it. Dave Roberts, he could be good. Sneaky. Wild card, maybe.
Yeah.
Bomel's out.
Bomel's definitely out.
Mark Kotze, he's sneaky, but I don't think so.
You know what? That'd be a great show to do.
Okay.
We could
just
rank
paring them all down.
30. Who's left? Who would be the heel though? Who would be the greatest heel out of that group running in? Probably grabbing a chair from underneath and cheating.
Cash, 100%. Kevin Cash, yeah. He'll fight dirty 100%.
By the way, if you're keeping score on the wild card, the Rays are a half game back of both Toronto and Seattle. And let's remember, the 4 seed is big because they will host the 5 seed. And remember, in that first round, that best of 3, it's not it's all in one stadium. So getting the 4 seed is critical, particularly in my opinion for Toronto and Seattle, because those environments are sick.
We kind of crossed this yesterday on baseball or on Talking Baseball. Isn't like the 6th seed the best seed because you're going to get to play the Central? Yep. I know you're not going to have the games at home.
I'm with you. I would rather face Cleveland or the White Sox or the Twins than I would go to Toronto or Seattle or Tampa.
And then you're facing and then maybe you're facing the Yankees
in the
because if they have the best record, you'd be facing the Yankees then.
Yeah, like I said, I think baseball has screwed it up, and I haven't read it enough, so I might be wrong here. I don't want to be speaking out of turn, but I will. In football, whatever is the lowest remaining seed, so let's say the 6th seed wins,
sure,
that would go to the 1 seed automatically. And then if the 3 seed won, the 3 seed would go play the 2 seed. And then the 4-5 winner would play the 1 seed. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, they reseeding basically every.
I don't think we're reseeding.
I don't think we do that either. No.
which is ridiculous. Why wouldn't you?
It's like a bracket.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, you got to beat the best anyway. Just go do it.
All right, I guess so. Let's move on. Some big series tonight over in the National League. Padres at Seattle, Milwaukee at St. Louis. Pods up 2 for that final wild card spot. Will those two teams swap spots, meaning Milwaukee and San Diego after the week?
No, I don't think so. Milwaukee's kind of got a gauntlet going on right now. They have a really tough week. It opens up for them after that. I know, Chris, you don't like me talking about soft schedules. What about hard schedules? Do you like hard schedules? Because we got 2 in St. Louis, which they've played really good series against each other. So, whatever. Say they split that. Then they got to go, or they go home and they got the Yankees and the Mets. Okay, those are pretty good teams, right?
Yeah, they are.
And then on the other hand, the Padres have Seattle for 2, and then they go to Arizona, who they've been in, I think they're 11-4 again so far. And then they got St. Louis. So I don't think they swap spots. I think Milwaukee would be happy to keep the position that they're in right now after this week.
I think 1 week from today they're tied.
Wow.
I do.
You think Milwaukee's going to get hot? I love it. I love that you have that
I don't think
confidence,
necessarily.
bro.
I watch a lot of Padres baseball. I do, and I just worry about where they are. They're all over the place. These days I look at them and I'm like, God, they could really make a deep run. Then there's days I'm like, holy shit, they might miss the playoffs. Can't figure them out. But I mean, you could say the same thing about Milwaukee, but
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, Milwaukee doesn't exactly instill confidence in you when you
doesn't
watch them day on
By
day.
the way, and we'll talk about it later in the week, I imagine. But that Yankees Brewers series, that's like a nightmare for the John Boy bosses, isn't it?
A little bit.
It's the team.
That's a good series. I
about.
like that a lot, dude. I like that
I do
series
too,
a
because
lot.
it's so rare. It's so rare. Like, when was that? I can't even remember the last time New York went up to Milwaukee. That's
Yeah,
fun.
we'd have to look at that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
But we're not going.
This is make or break. 2014, Dan said. This is make or break for the Brewers. Like, they go and they get pummeled this week, like they're basically done then. Depending on what San Diego does, but
Well,
on the flip side, if they go win a bunch of games, I mean, that momentum rolls over to the end of the season. They go and they get hot. Like this is a big week for them.
So if you're Craig Counsell, do you say that, like, the playoffs start right now? Do you have to say anything? Do you have a team meeting about it, or do you just let it go?
I don't think so. I don't think you have to have that meeting. Everyone understands where you're at in the season, what the standings are. I mean, if you have to have that meeting, you're in trouble. Like, the players, if they want to have that meeting, they're talking about it amongst themselves, great, but a manager doesn't need to come tell you that.
I think, by the way, San Diego won the season series. And remember, there aren't any, we don't have any tiebreaker playoff games, which I kind of miss. I love those things.
I mean, they don't play each other again. So San Diego won 4-3.
Yep. That's big. That's big, because that means Milwaukee has to win outright. So even though it's a 2-game deficit, it's really a 3-game deficit. So you have to keep that stuff in mind, because we don't have those, hey, let's fight it out for the division title. No, whoever wins the season series, which to me is, I think it's the right way to play it, particularly with the extra round of playoffs now.
I'm looking at these games. I mean, these games, 3 of them took place in May.
Yeah.
The Padres walked the first one off, then lost 2, and then they went into Milwaukee and they won 3 of 4.
It's always fun to go back and look, like, when teams haven't played since May, to go look at the rosters.
Yeah.
What those lineups were looking like back then, because between trades and injuries, there's always some interesting stuff that happens. All right. Before we get out of here, I had never seen this before. Something else. Jonah Heim behind the plate for Texas in their doubleheader against Miami. Ball fouled off the mask, and he catches it barehand for the out. First of all, I didn't even know that was an out. Like, it makes sense, but sometimes, like, when it hits a mask or something, you're thinking, oh, well, that's just going to end up being a foul ball, because it's just going to hit the ground or whatever. Ball popped up in the air. How do you grade it on a scale of 1 to 10?
And that's a straight athlete right there. He's going back and telling all his boys in the dugout, "Do you see what I just did right there? Got the strikeout." Obviously, it doesn't count for anything if it's less than 2 strikes, but when you have 2 strikes, I mean, counts as a strikeout. I love that he had the wherewithal to look up, because usually, man, you get hit in the face like that, you kind of like shake it off or whatever. But he somehow knew that ball was up, looked up, found it, and then barehanded it. I mean, 6'4", 220, Jonah Heim back there moving like a cat. And you know what? He's cooled off a little bit. He started the season off hot offensively. He's cooled off, but still for a catcher, he's got a 101 OPS plus, 2.5 WAR right now. Like,
good.
Yeah, no, he's had a really good year, and that was a really nice play right there.
He's not their problem. Yeah, I'd give it like an 8.5. It was great. Maybe even a 9, just to figure out where you are in the world.
And like finding that ball is not easy.
You weren't the emergency catcher, were you?
I think I was designated that a few different times throughout my career. Yeah. I told you I've caught bullpens in the big leagues. Like had to go into the bullpen to catch Pat Neshek.
All right, well, Neshek, at least
this
is moving all over the place.
The Twins, man, I love the Twins. Okay, thank you so much for my career, but we only used to catch or bring one bullpen catcher, so you couldn't even go double barrel. So when we needed to go double barrel, we had to get somebody to catch. And one of the times I had to run across the field in Detroit and go catch Pat Neshek, bro. It was embarrassing as hell.
Sorry.
Golly.
I think about that because Cleveland earlier this year, I think Hedges got hurt. Luke Maile took a foul tip and was like stunned. Now, Clase was pitching at the time. Their third catcher was Ernie Clement, who's a utility infielder / outfielder. Could you imagine if you had to make your major league catching debut trying to catch Clase?
No, I can't. That's silly stuff right there, man. I don't want any part of that. That's a broken thumb, like waiting to happen right there.
All right. What do you have coming up on John Boy?
Well, we're recording the midweek episode of Talking Baseball today. That'll be out tomorrow. We got a bunch of different topics we're going to go over. I think Jimmy will be there for that. A lot of people are asking, where's Jimmy? Where's Jimmy? He's going to be popping on the midweek episodes, the Monday and Friday recaps. He's probably not going to do. Got a lot of stuff on his plate right now. But that's it, man. What about you?
Latest episode of the Rose Rotation with Tony Clark is out, the executive director of the MLBPA. Very interesting. It's kind of a 50-50 split, focusing on where we are as a sport from the Players Association side. I promise you, it's not boring, dry talk. It's not. We keep it lively. And then we find out a lot about him, his playing career, his college hoops career, all that sort of stuff. We put out an amazing story about when he was a rookie with the Tigers, and Sparky Anderson was his first manager, and how he got called out in spring training while being compared to Michael Jordan. Some crazy stuff. It was very, very good. So
his beard is wild.
It is great looking right now. It's
like fluorescent white.
James Harden.
Why is it so white? It's the whitest beard I've ever seen in my life.
He said, we talked about that. He said he skipped the gray stage. He went right from black to white.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's like fluorescent white, but he looks good, man. He's always like a good looking dude. And he's so tall. Yeah. He commands the room, and that's one of the reasons he's the head of the Players Association.
Great voice, too. So he was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So check that out. Just recorded Giolito, who was great yesterday. Very open. We'll discuss more later in the week when that comes out on Thursday. So that'll do it. For our producer, Dan Rourke, that is Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you hump day for Baseball Today.